It's 7 o'clock. We'll open this meeting of the Capital Planning Committee. And we have in attendance Tom Howard, Tracy Blaze, Marshall Jesperson. We've got the Chief Janvrin. Good morning, Chief.
Morning. How are you?
Doing well. And so, Tracy, if you would read our opening statement, I would appreciate it.
Sure. This is Tracy Blaze for Chairman Marshall Jesperson of the Capital Planning Committee. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Tom Howard. Whoops.
Sorry, yes.
Stuart Mura, Nick Oram are unavailable at the moment. Marshall Jesperson.
Here.
Chief Doug Janvern.
Here.
And Nick Allen for the Youth League, but I don't see him here yet either. So this open meeting of the Newbury Capital Planning Committee is being conducted virtually, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, and the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. The order, which you can find posted on the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not, however, ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment as it is not a public hearing. For this meeting, the Newbury Capital Planning Committee is convening by Zoom meeting link as posted on the agenda on the town's website. Meeting business ground rules. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover the ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. The chairman will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, he will go down the line of board members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and be sure to state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in dialogue with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. And finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote.
Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome.
Okay, so since you started that, we've had Nick and Stuart join us this morning. Good morning, Nick. And you are muted, so you have to unmute. And Stuart.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
All right, good. So we've got two pieces on our agenda this morning. And since Chief Janvrin showed up first, we'll start with you, Chief. Good morning.
Morning. So we're requesting a new fire department administrative command vehicle. This money became available through the ARPA funds. So the current vehicle we're driving now is a 2012 Ford Expedition. Starting to have some issues with rust and electrical issues. We just figured it was on my capital plan anyway for a couple of years out, and it seemed prudent to move it up when this money became available.
What's the replacement vehicle going to be?
We're looking right now at possibly an Expedition, the same thing I have now, just a newer version.
So, Chief, you probably wouldn't be replacing this had the money not become available.
It's on the plan for, I believe, 2 years out to replace it. I just thought before it started costing us too much money in repairs and stuff to get it done now.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to go down through our members to see if anyone has more comments or questions. Tom?
The only question, Chief, is that 55,000, is that including everything that's gonna be done like, is it Adamson or who's doing it?
Pro MHQ, a combination between the two. I'm gonna try to get, because I saw some good lights in my car, I'm gonna try to get some lights moved over and try to use what I can use out of the car we have now. So it's not driving the price up too much.
Okay, so the 55 is for the vehicle, is it 55 for the
For
equipment?
total for everything.
Okay. Nick?
Yes, I'm in favor. Are you asking me if I'm in favor?
No.
Oh, if I
Any
have any
questions
questions.
or,
No,
I
I
mean-
don't have any questions.
okay. Stuart?
Yeah, Doug, both these questions are actually what I was going to talk about. It was net. It's a net cost of 55, and you are going to be taking it out of the current vehicle off of your current plan 2 years early. Do you guys, what do you anticipate you'll save in operating costs? I mean, was it real expensive to keep up?
It's hard to tell. Right now, it's really not too bad. I put a little bit of money into it now. But I
So
just see
there's
where
no-
it's starting to really rust around the rocker panels, and I'm starting to have some electrical issues with it, so.
Okay, so you're not really saving a lot in the operating budget, but that was my other question is, how's that going to help? But you're just basically taking advantage of this grant, which makes sense at this point. And it's probably going to sunset this grant, right, after this year. You got to take it now.
So Tracy, could you tell us a little bit more about the ARPA grant?
Yeah, we have, the federal government has made $2.1 million available to the town of Newbury. Right now, we have a little over 856,000 left. We used it for a number of items. I don't know how familiar you are with what we've spent it on to date, but we've used it for the Council on Aging lease. We used it for the police chief's administrative vehicle, the replacement of the Shellfish Constable's vehicle. We've encumbered about 290,000 for continued COVID-related expenses by request of the Board of Health, the Plum Island bathroom project, and the Newbury Food Pantry and the library requested funds for a self-checkout kiosk. So we have these funds and we have a period of time. It was from the initial date of award, we have 5 years to spend it, but we have to have the majority of the funds, we want to have them committed about a year prior to the full expenditure. So what we've done is we've tried to, I think the goal is to try and spread it across a lot of different aspects of our municipal operation. So we've got, again, Council on Aging, the Human Services aspect, library, culture and service, cultural services, health, and public safety right now. So that's where we stand with those funds.
Okay, thank you.
Tracy, is there a percentage of what you're gonna use per year, or is it just wide open at this point?
It's wide open, it's by application.
Okay.
Okay, I have, you guys have covered it very well. I have no questions. Let's go down. I sent the capital improvement rating sheet. And so what we'll do is go through the ratings and I'll do the roll call and then note your rating. So Tom, in the priority classification.
And I don't have the sheet in front of me, I'm sorry. So
Okay,
is it go
okay.
1 to 5? Is that?
No, we go, on this one, we go basically 0 to 10, with 10 being a mandatory, 7 points is a maintenance. Improved efficiencies around 5. Seems like maintenance to me because we're just replacing
That's what
one
I'm
vehicle
thinking.
with another.
7.
Yeah, okay. Nick?
Let's see, priority ranking, 7.
Okay, Stuart,
Yes, let's see. Yes, 7.
okay, I would put 7 in as well. That was actually we've got 2 priority ranking, priority classification. 7 was the classification. I think, again, we have priority ranking from very high, medium, and low.
Yeah, I was responding to priority ranking, which was, I thought the question you were asking, but I'd
Okay.
also say, I'd also call it maintenance, so I'd give it 7 for both.
Okay, Stuart,
Yeah, it's a high priority ranking. It is 7.
okay, Tom,
The same.
all right, it's now we're replacing 2012, so we're probably looking at a 10-year life, would you say, Chief?
I would. Yeah.
Okay,
So that's a number 5.
Yep.
It's a 5 on that
yeah,
rank.
so Tom, would you give that a 5 as well?
Yes.
Okay, because that falls right into its ranking. Nick,
5,
okay, Stuart.
The effect on operating and maintenance costs.
No, I'm still going on.
I'm sorry. I thought I already answered. Yeah, it's 10. It's 10 and 19 years. That's a 5.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
okay, and the effect on the operating costs, I think, is just, according to the chief, it's unchanged.
Yes, I was going to say, so that's a 5.
Okay, Tom,
5
do you
for
agree?
me.
I agree.
Okay, I as well, and I don't think it's going to change our revenue base one bit, because we're doing this with the ARPA funds. So I think we're in a revenue unchanged condition. Tom, do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Nick,
5,
Yeah, agreed. Revenues unchanged.
okay, and this is federal grant money,
right.
so that there's no question, but that gets a 5 on that. Okay, so that takes care of the fire department vehicle. Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank
Chief,
you very
one
much.
question.
Yes.
Chief, one question. Is it electric or any part of it? Is it hybrid?
No, it's not. No.
That would be good coming up when those are available, but the
Wish it was, yeah.
availability of them
I wish it
right
was.
now is
Or the
very,
Explorers? Okay.
very low.
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
So Marshall, that's a 34 in the overall scoring. Just
Okay.
if I was keeping tally.
thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Okay,
Jack has a question.
well, actually, Jack, I have a
Oh.
question, but it's not open for public comment.
Hmm.
So while we're happy to have you here and take a look at what we're doing.
Point of order.
I don't give a damn if you have a point of order, you're not on the agenda. So we'll go to Nick Allen. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, everybody. Nice to meet you over Zoom.
Right. Morning.
For those of you who don't know me, I am the president of the Byfield Newbury Baseball Softball League. I submitted a proposal, I believe, in February, seeking some financial assistance for maintenance and upgrades to our primary field, which is Pearson Field over near the library. It's become over the years kind of the center of our league. Most of our teams play out of Pearson. This year, I expect we'll have 5 teams based out of Pearson playing their home games there. So over the last few years, it's kind of deteriorated into rough shape. And in particular, last summer and early fall, we had some terrible rain, which kind of washed away the pitcher's mound and home plate area, which exposed the pitcher's rubber and the home plate area, the home plate itself, which presents somewhat of a safety hazard to the players. I think in our proposal, I explained when the last round of substantial work was done in the field. And again, it was about 10 years ago. I think it was 2013. I was not involved with the league back then, so I don't have many of the details. But my understanding is that around that time, they did a pretty good overhaul of the infield. But we're about 10 years later now, and it needs some attention once again. So I've submitted this proposal for basically a complete overhaul of the infield. I've been working with the contractor who actually did the work back in 2013. And he's given me what I believe is a very competitive, reasonable price for the work. I'm happy to explain the work, but it's in the proposal as well. It's basically replacing the infield grass and replacing the infield dirt. And in my opinion, the dirt is more of a need of a replacement than the grass. But if we're going to do the entire infield, we might as well do it all together. And if we were going to do the home plate and the mound, it just makes sense to roll it into one project. So the proposal is approximately $16,000 for the entire work. And it includes a little bit of work around the dugouts as well. I don't know if any of you are too familiar with the layout of the field and the parking lot, but there's definitely been some water issues on the field resulting from heavy rainfall.
Just washing off the lot?
Yeah, the lot is sloped down towards the field. In particular, when we played over there in the summertime, after COVID, we would encounter some torrential thunderstorms, and it would be like a river just flowing right down out of the parking lot, right over to the first base dugout, and the water would just pool up within minutes. And I don't know if there's a way to correct that, divert the water. I mean, that seems like a bigger project, but that is just something else that was pointed out in the proposal. And the contractor knows that sometimes that the infield absorbs a lot of runoff water from rainstorms out of the parking lot. So happy to answer any questions, obviously, but pretty much everything that you need to know is in the proposal.
Okay, had read the proposal. Thank you very much. The only question I had generally was, is there, does the DPW have any thoughts about drainage from that particular spot? Because I know what you're talking about. When it does rain, it does all flow over into that corner and into the field.
Yeah. I don't know what their thoughts are. I haven't spoken with anybody about it, and I'm happy to reach out. If I knew the correct person to contact, I could speak to them about it.
Okay.
I
Well,
can
that-
certainly put you in touch with the DPW director.
Okay.
Yeah, he would be the person to do that. And they have been really good when it comes to issues like this too.
Yeah.
If they can lend a hand, or if they have some resources that would help that, they've been terrific about that in the past.
Good to know.
So that would be good. I'm just looking at the idea of not only fixing the field, but keeping it that way.
Right.
And if we could channel that runoff away from the field, that would be a real positive. So let's go through and any questions, Tom?
Yeah, is there any reason why you don't have 3 proposals?
Is there any reason? I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Is there any reason why we didn't do 3? I'm just from the fiscal side that, we go out there and find 3 proposals, so we're ensuring that we're getting the best bang for our dollar.
Oh, from contractors?
Yes.
I had a hard enough time getting contractors to even return my call. I think it's part of a reflection of the pandemic and people just being having difficulties with the resources. I spoke with a contractor who's worked at the fields down in Georgetown and Raleigh, and then after some extensive conversations, not only with him but with the presidents of those leagues who hired him, he just dropped off the face of the earth. We spoke last year with another contractor who was going to charge us just to come and look at the fields, let alone do any work. And so frankly, I would love to have 3 proposals. I would love to have 3 people returning my calls, but it was quite a challenge to even get somebody this far down the road. So having said that, if you would like me to try to find some additional proposals and submit them, I'm happy to do that.
My concern was simply that you're getting the best bang for your dollar.
Understood.
And the only way of knowing that is if we had some proposals to take and compare them to.
Right.
And
I
should
can't
the-
say that I've, we compete in a baseball league with all of our surrounding neighbors, and I've spoken with the presidents of those leagues. Some of them have done recent field work. I know it's not a proposal, but I also know that the proposal that I do have is in line with, the costs that these towns have absorbed for similar field work.
And just to follow up on Mr. Howard's comments, if it should be approved by, the funding gets approved by town meeting, then we have to follow our procurement rules. So that will all will run through the finance department, and we'll certainly work with Mr. Allen to ensure that he gets the right number of quotes, and some of those costs could potentially be borne by the DPW. So it'll be great. We'll sit down and we'll chat with the director and see what he may be able to do on behalf of the youth leagues.
So Tracy, do I understand that if this is approved,
Mhm.
then before we go forward with the work, the town would require that we get 3 proposals?
Yep.
That, just a comment, that may be easier said than done. I was headed north on 95 when I got a text from one of our sons who had a plumbing issue. And so he texted our other sons and me saying, who do you use for a plumber? And they said, well, we use Dad. And they said, well, who does he use? And they said, he uses us. This is not looking good. But finding a plumber, finding anybody who's in the trades at these points, who is free and willing to answer a call, is incredibly difficult. So I appreciate the effort you've put in, Bill. And it's been really tough. And I talked to some of the people who are in the trades, and they just have more work and less help than they've had in years. And it's been a tough go. So
Yeah. We'll
And to
follow the rules and solicit the appropriate quotes.
Right. And there's, just to follow up on that point, which is a very good point. We really need somebody to do the work who has done work on baseball fields. And that narrows it down even more, because there's certainly a lot of landscape companies out there that we could hire to bring in and rake the dirt and cut the grass and things like that. But when we're talking about rebuilding a pitcher's mound and grading the fields and all that stuff, it does require a company that has expertise in that area, and there's just not a lot of them.
Yep.
So, but we will certainly continue to do our due diligence and look around. And if the town would require us to get additional quotes, we can do that, or we'll continue to look in that direction.
And one more question. When you do this work, will this reduce your future maintenance costs?
There's always going to be maintenance costs for a field like this. In my view, an expenditure of this size is probably going to be required every 10 plus years. Maybe if we take better care of it. And I think part of the problem is a lack of train. I mean, we're a complete volunteer league that has turnover every year. So we have coaches out there taking care of the field. And frankly, they probably don't know how to do it the right way. So I think if we did a big project like this and we trained our volunteers how to properly maintain the fields, I think we can get a longer shelf life out of the maintenance work. So, hopefully we wouldn't have to do a major project for 15 plus years, but it's a little bit of speculation there.
Yep.
Stuart, any questions?
Yeah, just aside from the procurement process, which I know will be done right, I'm just a little just want to bring clarity. The baseball league is a non-profit entity
Correct.
that has an agreement and a lease with the town for the use of the fields year to year. Is that how that works?
Yeah, I mean, I think Pearson has been designated as the town's primary little league. I think that's the purpose of the fields. We do submit permits, every permit request every March for the various fields that we play on. I've been the president of the league for 2 years. I've been on the board for 3 or 4. The permitting process has never been an issue. It's kind of a rubber stamp. We come in, ask the town for permission to use the fields from X date through X date, and they sign off.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to understand. I mean, I realize the request is coming in from you because you're initiating, because you utilize the fields, but the reality
Yep.
is this is the town should be looking at how they upkeep their facilities, right?
Yeah.
So this definitely, I would think, would go through James and DPW, but I'm not sure, JC, how that works. But
Yeah, I mean,
so all the investment is to the field. I saw that. It's great that a local parent and somebody at Old Town is going to donate irrigation, and that Tracy will work through that whole process of, you know, getting goods for free as it gets implemented into a town parcel. So I mean, I think that I just wanted to have some clarity around the relationship of the baseball league with the
yeah,
town.
it's definitely a town-owned property.
Okay. That's
Good.
all I have.
And you mentioned the maintenance or taking care of the field by the coaches.
You know, just in the general sense that if you want to maintain properly a baseball diamond, after every game, you should be out there raking the fields and evening out the dirt.
Oh,
If
okay.
you do it the wrong way, believe it or not, if you do it the wrong way, you can create lips on the infield, the grass, where the grass meets the dirt, which actually would require a repair eventually. So it's little things like that, which over time add up and make the field in worse condition than it really should be. So, the coaches we ask our coaches after every game to rake the field and to make sure it's in proper shape for the next group of kids coming in. And so it's just little things like that, making sure people know how to do that.
Very good.
So one other question then, Nick. So it sounds like, does the $2,000 to $3,000 to annually upkeep, like the cutting the grass, things like that, is that borne by the league or is that borne by the town?
So the town cuts the grass, and
Okay.
thank you for that. We every year we use a little bit of our own league funds to do a general preseason cleanup of the fields. I mean, you know what these fields will look like after a long New England winter.
Yeah.
And so we usually hire our own landscape company to come out, turn over the infield dirt, do a little cleanup of the infield and the outfields. We do that at Pearson. We do that at the Upper Green. And we've even done it at the softball field behind NES. So yeah, we do use our own league funds, anywhere from $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 annually.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, there's a benefit that the town is getting from this private entity to help maintain the fields, which doesn't have an exclusive relationship with the fields. So it's really, it's a benefit of the whole town that you guys are paying funds.
Yeah.
And then
I
now
agree.
you're basically making this initiative to rebuild and get the fields back the way they should be. And they should be upkept. And you're just basically the initiator of the request. Okay, great. Thanks for the clarity.
Okay. All right, I don't have any questions. Everyone has taken care of those pretty well. Let's go down and do the scoring on this. And so what we've got, again, Tom, in the town department priority classification, we have everything from mandatory to new service, clearly not a new service. Maintenance would be about a 7, improved efficiency. I don't think that really sits in there. So we run
That
0
goes-
to 10.
7.
7, okay.
Seven.
Nick?
7.
Stuart,
7.
and I would agree with you. That's a 7. Priority ranking from very high, high, medium, low. And
Given the time of year, I would think it'd be very high.
yeah, I would. Yes, this is the one we have to do it or get it done pretty soon. Okay, so thank you, Tom. Nick?
I guess I'd give it a 5.
Okay. Stuart?
Yeah, and unfortunately, I haven't seen the baseball fields. So, I mean, I got to go on what Nick said. So, I would go with I'd go with the 7.
Okay. And I'm going to go with actually with an 8. Okay, the expected life of this, when's the last time this was done, Bill? Do you know it? Have any idea? Or you mentioned 10 years as what you think it would be, 10 to 15 years before we'd have to do this kind of thing if you kept the care of the field.
The last round of major maintenance was 2013. That was told to me by the contractor who's done work on the field before.
Okay. So
I've only been involved with the league since 2018, and we haven't done any major upgrades during that time.
Okay. Okay. So that would fall in our 5 range. Tom?
Yes,
Okay, 5. Nick?
Yes, 5.
Okay. Stuart?
5.
I agree. It looks like the effect of maintenance is not going to be changed. Would you agree, Bill? In other words, you're still going to spend the same amount every spring on startup.
Yeah, I
And
mean, we
town-
would probably still incur some annual maintenance
Yeah.
fees. Yes, I think that's fair.
But you guys have been covering that, the town has not.
Correct.
We've just been doing them all. We're going to continue
Yep.
that. So that's an unchanged. So Tom, unchanged would be
Yes.
about 5. Okay. Nick,
5.
Stuart,
Change 5.
and I would as well. There's no change on the town's revenue. That would come in at 5. So Tom,
I agree.
5. Nick,
5.
Stuart,
5.
and I would go for a 5. There is no federal or state money available for this.
Yeah.
No,
Why is this not also a candidate for the federal grant money?
Tracy, would
Tracy?
this?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It could be a candidate for the federal money. Chairman Greco is looking at potentially adding recreational endeavors. She's had a conversation with Chairman Mike Volpone of the Recreation Committee to see what those needs are. So we're investigating that currently.
So while the funding identified, let's see. Well, we would leave it up to FinCom to identify the funds that would be used and that we'd be presenting at the town meeting. Okay.
So we don't know the answer to that.
We
question.
don't know that answer, so I'll put a question mark for that. All right. Well, thank you very much for being here, Bill, and Chief, thank you very much. Is there any other business before the meeting this morning?
I think Bill is Nick, but
Oh, Nick.
otherwise. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
I had,
Those of us that are named Nick, we got to look out for each other.
okay.
I was
Very good.
working by process of elimination. I didn't see any bills, so I assumed that was me.
That's you. My apologies. Okay. Seeing no other business before the committee this morning, we are just going to adjourn. Thank you all very much. And I will write up these minutes and get them over to everyone so that we can vote on those and get those over to our next FinCom meeting. Thanks very much. Good morning.
Thank you, Marshall.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.